Before Figure, I'd started, co-founded SoFi and ran that. And one of the big challenges that we always had was connecting sources and uses of capital efficiently. And the aha moment for me in early 2018 or late 2017 on the blockchain side was, this ability to represent truth over trust on a public ledger. And creating a native digital asset where I know for certain the ownership, the composition, the history, introduced three value props that resonated with me. The first was, the idea of taking structural friction out of transactions. So, when you think about loan origination and securitization, you have all this audit and QC process. Well, the immutability of a blockchain ledger reduces the size and scope of that and saves a bunch of cash. The second was the ability to transact bilaterally real time. And so the ability to effectively create two parties who face off directly and disintermediate all the stuff that sits in the middle. And so when we think about marketplaces, we think about the stock exchange. Well, there's seven parties that sit in between a buyer and seller, but more importantly, your debit card, and you swipe at a terminal, there's five parties that sit in between the buyer and seller. And so blockchain's ability to distill that down to two parties frees up a huge amount of economic value by eliminating a lot of rent seeking. But the last part, and the part that to me is the most interesting, is because you have a native digital asset, you can lend directly to that asset and get true perfection, right? I don't have to trust that the asset's sitting with a custodian. I don't have to trust that the borrower actually has the collateral. I get true digital perfection to it. And, I always draw the analogy, like we've been lending against home value for 6 years now. Our credit's performed extremely well, but I've been lending against Bitcoin since 2020. I've never lost a dollar lending against Bitcoin, right? Because I have 24/7, 365 perfection of the collateral and I can manage that. So the idea of taking native digital assets and being able to do direct perfected lending, to me, opens up a huge credit ecosystem